How often have you seen older women on dating apps who say something along the lines of "I know my worth, I'm seeking for a man to settle down," or "I don't have time to be playing games, I'm looking for something serious"? These are typically the words of a woman who has spent the past few decades pursuing her job or living the finest life possible, and who is now in the process of searching for the right partner who will prevent her from expiring alone. Dating apps are flooded with older women in their mid-30s and older who are looking for any male who can procreate and has some kind of stability in the hopes that this man will ultimately wipe them out and become their retirement plan. However, what these people fail to realize is that guys at that age have been deeply scarred by numerous rejections, sexless marriages, child support battles, and divorces over several decades. Men have gained some insight into the situation, and as a result, they are less likely to settle down with an aging lady. Older women were able to locate men willing to marry them in the past, since men were naive about women in the legal systems. This was because most women did not frequent these streets during that time, but when men started to witness their friends and relatives getting cleaned out in the family courts, their so-called loving spouses turned on them because they were not happy and for the love of money. When men started to see their friends and relatives getting cleaned out in the family courts, men started to see through the deceit that was being perpetrated by what was taking place. A number of years later, a movement of men who had made the decision to follow their own path emerged, which somewhat destroyed the faith of older ladies who believed they would always have their clean-up man in their rear pockets. When you go on dating apps in today's world, there are still plenty of monkey sims being thirsty who are offering attention and affirmation to older women, despite the fact that this attention is not even close to the attention they used to garner when they were younger. The problem that older women have is that they are starting to recognize that they have made a mistake in adhering to the theory of the womanist movement, which is that males do not commit crimes as frequently as they once did. They were told that a man would always be there later on while they were drinking the womanist Kool-Aid, but they continued to drink it anyhow. Therefore, it should not be a priority for them to get married at a young age. Instead, they should concentrate on their jobs or careers. And what did these ladies decide to do? They opted to put steady partners on the back burner and go with the guys who they really desired in the hopes of having them all to themselves. This, while having as many sexual excursions as possible before settling down. But things didn't work out the way they were supposed to, since as soon as social media and dating apps gained popularity, it marked the beginning of the culture of hookups. If there had never been a culture of casual sexual encounters as we know it today, and the start of the gradual decline of dating and partnerships, then older women wouldn't have been using dating apps in an attempt to locate a man who would commit to a relationship with them. Just a friendly reminder that it was women, not men, who were the ones who pioneered the culture of casual sexual encounters in the first place, just because they wanted to acquire the guys they want and have fun. Women single-handedly ruined the future of dating for themselves and the next generation. This was done for the only reason that they wanted to have fun. Therefore, the issue I would pose to these more mature women who contributed to the demise of dating is whether or not it was truly worth it. The worst aspect is that the same women who contributed to the demise of dating and relationships are the same women who use dating apps now and whine about a lack of eligible men, whereas their daughters, who are now in their late 20s to early to mid-30s, are in the same boat seeking for a suitable man to settle down with after following their mother's footsteps of failure in the relationship department. The issue is that none of those men are making an effort to settle down because of how risky divorce has become, and no man wants to wed a lady who has been pursued romantically by hundreds of men. As a result of the fact that the other guys she liked were not interested in her, men do not want a wife or girlfriend who is only dating them. Men are no longer prepared to put their savings in danger for a lady who is only interested in swindling them out of their hard-earned money and taking what the man has worked so hard to achieve. Men aren't fools like they used to be, and more middle-aged and senior women are coming to the realization that men have learned to function in their lives without them and are actually much happy on their own. Those elderly ladies who are often complaining and putting off negative energy on dating apps today were formerly strong and self-sufficient women who did not require the companionship of a man at any point in their lives. In addition, I want all of you to keep in mind that these ladies had years to try to change their self-destructive ways and perhaps meet a partner who is worthy of their love. Never forget that many of these women have been married before, but they left their husbands because they believed they could get a better deal elsewhere. After leaving their husbands, they took their children and their husband's money, and then they entered the dating scene with the expectation that they would bypass all the other women and get a top-tier man all to themselves. However, the harsh reality is that the majority of these post-war women were promised nothing more than a hard, stiff pipe, and that is all they were given in return for their lack of commitment. Therefore, you should never feel sorry for any of these ladies or try to rescue them, because they voluntarily put themselves in that position in the hopes of getting a bigger and better deal for themselves. Also, wealthy guys have the option of dating young, fertile women with tight skin rather than an old hag. This is not the case for men who are poor. Why then would men choose to date an older woman when they may have ladies when they are in the prime of their lives, that they were unable to acquire in the past, particularly in light of the current state of the economy, which is about to enter another recession and the passage of time is becoming increasingly difficult? Why would a man pay more money to have a woman who was worse off physically and was yearning for a commitment? This makes no sense. Women are selling themselves online for what Coach Greg Adams would term a clutch of 20s. Again, it is important to keep in mind that women are the ones who bring this problem upon themselves by divorcing their husbands in search of better opportunities and in order to live their best lives. Therefore, you should never have the slightest bit of compassion for any of these ladies. Always remember to keep your veins cool and use them just for the purpose of practice. Committing to an older lady who has spent decades offering her time and body to various men and who has ignored you as a viable choice throughout the prime weeks of your life when you were trying to avoid doing it. In addition, ladies in those age ranges will divorce Great Beauty Kingdom, come and take you to the cleaners because they are not suitable to be a wife and are looking for a retirement plan rather than a potential life partner. When you're on these dating apps and older ladies are interested in you and giving you a lot of attention, you need to get a grip on yourself and get some perspective. Keep in mind that when they were younger, they would purposefully ignore and disrespect you for the sake of laughter and giggles. Therefore, why is it that now that they are older, they consider you to be a viable alternative? Exactly, gentlemen. They are only attempting to catch you in their trap and nothing more. They don't love you because your men have beaten the love out of them over the years. After they've gone through 3 bodies, all they want from you now is your money and possibly a child. So always keep in mind that I could continue to discuss the challenges that women face while using dating apps, but I'm going to let them tell you what it's like to date using these apps instead. Internet dating leaves middle-aged women in the single wilderness is the title of an article that was published in The Guardian. Let's move on to discussing this topic. Relationships expert and agony aunt Susan Quilliam reported that some women were going through a hellish experience with online dating services. It's easier for males to date across the age spectrum, but they're also quicker to get into a new relationship and far less inclined to give someone a second opportunity. Men also tend to date younger and older women, which may seem callous. However, they have a significantly higher propensity to have a rapid onset of romantic feelings. For guys, it's all about whether or not you meet the requirements, but women tend to be more careful. It's a shame that males gravitate toward those in their 20s and 30s as partners, because women in their 40s and 50s are considered to be far more sexually developed and capable of providing significantly greater pleasure than, for example, women in their 20s. In a moment, gentlemen, you can see for yourself that older women in their 40s and 50s who use dating apps do not have an advantage over younger women in terms of being selected. Wow, isn't it shocking? I mean, who couldn't have seen this coming, but they brought this upon themselves in the first place. Therefore, you should not feel sorry for them and maintain the ice water circulating through your veins. Let's continue. Match.com. According to a study, dating is more difficult for divorced women because of the added complications, anxiety, and stress that come along with it. Trying to find love for a second time when you have children is a difficult task. Being a single parent can be challenging, according to Nicola Hammond, Netlam's spokeswoman and mother, who acknowledged as much. Parents who raise their children alone often feel that they have nothing of value to offer the world. It is possible that attempting to meet people in bars and clubs will feel like something that younger people do. This is due to the fact that their world has narrowed, especially in situations where you need both a companion who is also single and a babysitter in order to get there. However, not everyone has the expectation that they will find their significant other online. Susan Broom is a vivacious woman with a ready laugh who is now 48 years old and has stopped actively hunting for a male, at least online. She has given up on finding a partner. In addition, she does not shrink back from acknowledging the fact that she does experience the gloom brought on by it. I stopped using online dating after I learned that the only people who were contacting me were older males, which is a demographic that does not particularly pique my interest. As I prefer to date men my own age, but most men my age are only interested in women in their 20s and 30s, this makes it difficult for me to find a partner. When you have to really fight to meet the kind of men who are worth meeting, it may be a full-time career. This is because the men who are worth meeting are the ones who refuse to look at you as a potential date due to the fact that everything is conceivable. Gentlemen, did you not hear what I said? Let them die in peace. Even when a man makes the effort to get in touch with them and express his interest, the woman will still turn him down in the hopes of finding someone more suitable. She was probably paired with guys in their 50s to 70s, but she still didn't want to settle down despite the fact that hypergamy is unbeatable and will continue to be so. I don't even have to say much because everything I've been saying up to this point is being demonstrated in the lives of these women. As I've been saying, let them die alone. I don't even have to say anything. Let's have a look at one more article written by Evan Marquette that discusses the reasons why women in their 30s are not interested in dating men in their 40s. Let's go into what these ladies have to say, shall we? Hello, my name is Rachel, and I'm a 37-year-old woman who has been dating online for a number of years. I'm pretty fit, and I have a career among other things. I've never been married and do not have any kids. I'm looking for a guy, but with that said, I'm not willing to settle, and I would date a 4 to 2-year-old, not a problem. However, as you point out, men in their 40s are searching for women in the age band of 27 to 34 years old. When I was in my early 30s, everyone in their 40s struck me as being quite a bit older than I was. It's odd how things work out, but in my experience, I find that I receive a lot of letters from people in the overcrowded and the 50-plus age group. I apologize, but I'm not interested in dating my father, and I agree with what you said about how well we get along together. The only thing I can say to that, gentleman, is die by yourself. What more do you want me to say, seeing as how these ladies have all the time in the world? It would never occur to me to urge any man to settle down with an older lady because it is, in and of itself, a warning sign. Nonetheless, the world is what it is. Let them mess up on their own. I don't care. Let's take a look at a different one. Kim says at the age of 34, it is as obvious as the sun rising that delaying things for so long was a poor decision that makes things more difficult but not impossible. However, people are always giving you the advice that you have a lot of free time and that you should travel all over the world. They say that this is acceptable as long as you aren't certain that you want a family in the future. I am going to have a child on my own, and when she is 30 years old, I will advise her to get married. If you want to have a family in the future, you need to accept the fact that you won't have all day to accomplish everything. Guys, what else do we need to tell you about this situation? It involves a woman in her 30s who came to the conclusion that delaying having children was a serious error, and she says that she is sorry for making that choice. Not only that, but because she can't find a partner to start a family with, she has no choice but to resort to getting pregnant on her own. As I've mentioned before, you shouldn't feel sorry for these people or have even the slightest bit of pity for them. She did mention all of the guys who wanted to start a family with her or how she lived her best life on the carousel, but we know that she wasn't at home waiting for a decent man while sitting on her damp vice grip. She lived her best life on the carousel. She did mention all of the males. Throughout this entire process, gentlemen, make sure that the cold water is still running in your hearts and that you continue to live the lifestyle of a free agent. This is how you are going to come out on top. Men who choose to walk their own road in the monk mode army are currently ahead of the game when it comes to dating older ladies. If you let yourself get cowardly and make a commitment, I guarantee that you will come to regret your choice in the future if you do not remain committed to the route that leads to being a free agent.